Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my WWE Marquee matches reviews, and this series is back. I wanted to have done this video when SummerSlam was coming up to hype myself up for SummerSlam since I didn't have any hype, but because I never had the time to do this, I'm just doing this now because I like to watch wrestling, and I'm just basically doing it for the fuck all of it. So I guess better than not doing it at all, I guess, right? So let's talk about these series of marquee matches. They're all going to be um, SummerSlam based, so let's just get right into this. Um, this episode was hosted by Charlie Caruso, and the match that they showed was from SummerSlam 2013. It was a WWE Championship match. WWE Champion John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. And obviously, when I do these, I like to talk about the backstory going into these matches, and there was quite a bit of backstory going into this match from what I remember, um, when um, when it was being built up and stuff. So pretty much how this went down was was John Cena had won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 29, and he had been champion since then, and Daniel Bryan had really grown a fan base. You know, he started his whole Yes movement. He originally did it as a heel, but then it ended up catching on. And then after he was squashed in the opening match in 18 seconds for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 28, he just really started to gain a following. Everybody started doing the Yes chant, and he did his whole tag team thing with Team Hell No, and everything was and Daniel Bryan really had been gotten over, and it felt like that he was organically starting to go because he had been he was in the world title matches, and he had been kind of like a main eventer, but he wasn't like the company, and he was and himself didn't see him in like that big main event spot. And they still kind of don't. You could say that, but but he really wasn't like established as a main event guy yet. And going into 2013, this is when he kind of started out for him. You know, he started off having some really good matches. He did the whole weak leg thing where after Team Hell No lost the WWE Tag Team Championships, he had thought that he was the weak link, and he continuously wanted to prove himself. He would compete in two matches in one night to prove that he wasn't the weak link, and he had that really good feud with Randy Orton where he ended up knocking him off cleanly on an episode of Monday Night Raw. He nearly won the Money in the Bank ladder match, and he was actually like a strong contender for this Money in the Bank ladder match. Everything had been going on quite nicely for Daniel Bryan. Everybody really wanted him to be a main event guy, and he just needed. And then it just took that one match and that one special moment, and then it finally happened here. John Cena was told by the general manager of Monday Night Raw that he was allowed to pick his opponent for SummerSlam, who he wanted to defend his WWE Championship against. And he picked Daniel Bryan, which I thought was awesome. You know, it was. I remember that segment very clearly, and everybody was really happy that he picked Daniel Bryan, and he picked Daniel Bryan because he knew Daniel Bryan had it in him to be WWE champion. And I really don't even need to really explain this feud. The dynamics of this feud really worked really well because you have Daniel Bryan, who was more of the wrestler. He had busted his ass in the independents for years, um, and he was more of that professional wrestler in WWE that everybody wanted to succeed. He was more of the technical type of wrestler, and John Cena was more of the sports entertainment wrestler. And they kind of continuously started to play up on that. You know, Daniel Bryan would talk about how in the independents, people would slap each other in the face as a sign of respect, and he doesn't want to do that to John Cena because he doesn't respect John Cena. When John Cena would dare him to slap him in the face, there was things where Daniel Bryan would talk about how if John Cena got fired, he would get from WWE, he would get some sort of acting job, and he would never step foot in a wrestling ring again. And Daniel Bryan said that he would just go right back into the independents and wrestle in the bingo halls. And John Cena got a little bit upset that Daniel Bryan was questioning his passion for professional wrestling, and it was just a great storyline all throughout. You even had these guys had storylines if you think about it too, because when they first came into WWE, when Daniel Bryan tried to come in before, he ended up wrestling John Cena on an episode of Velocity in 2003. And John Cena, when Daniel Bryan was fired after the Nexus invaded, Daniel Bryan was fired for misconduct, for profanity and misconduct, for choking Justin Roberts with his tie, but also for spitting in the face of John Cena. And then they had also had a match on Raw a year ago, a little over a year prior to this, when John Cena um, defeated Daniel Bryan. So just everything really started to work on all different types of levels. And I remember they had that great segment on the Go Home edition of Raw where they were kind of talking back and forth to each other, and it was really damn enjoyable. But then there was another factor going into this match, and they really had been playing up. The McMahon family had issues on Raw with the way that they wanted Raw to be run at this time. At first, it started. Now, when you first look at this, it's really cheap comedy and really hokey. But then once they ended the Daniel Bryan storyline, you actually kind of started to believe it. Vince McMahon didn't believe in Daniel Bryan. He didn't think that Daniel Bryan had what it took to be his WWE champion, and he actually believed that because you knew it was actually true. Vince McMahon took one look at Daniel Bryan, and he didn't see it in him. Triple H was sick of Vince McMahon constantly um, setting aside these indie guys and setting aside guys that he doesn't want to be champion. And you could believe that too because of how Triple H runs NXT now. Um, and it was believable. Stephanie McMahon was in the middle. She was playing neutral, but was upset that they both weren't getting along. So Stephanie McMahon tried to help the cause. She tried to mold Daniel Bryan into a WWE champion, face of the company type of look. They did that whole makeover skit, but Daniel Bryan refused to commit. He wanted to be true to himself. And they wanted to shape his beard, and this is where the beard is here T-shirts came into play. Um, and Vince McMahon wasn't having it, so he was going to have Raw General Manager Brad Maddox be the guest referee to kind of mess up the main event for SummerSlam, but Triple H wasn't having any of it. He came out pedigreed Brad Maddox and made himself the special guest referee for the WWE Championship match. And then we were off to the races. It was John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and that was pretty much the entire build-up. And if you have to ask me, this build-up was fantastic. We also had the Randy Orton caveat, too, we got to mention. How he was the Money in the Bank contract holder and he could have cashed in on this, and they kind of teased up to that. There was a segment where John Cena was laid out and Randy Orton teased cashing in, but he didn't do it. So overall, everything just really worked going into this match. Then we had the match. And we had JBL, Michael Cole, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary for this match, and this match is great. I have to say, if you were to ask me, this is probably one of the top 20, maybe even 15 matches in SummerSlam history. I don't know about top 10, it doesn't quite fit into that category, but it's definitely in the top 15. It's a great match, it's a great main event. You could make the argument maybe it's one of the best SummerSlam main events in history. That I won't disagree with you, but um, I loved it. It was a really good wrestling match, and a lot of people will talk. I'll go over the spots, but a lot of people will talk about how Daniel Bryan made this really go. John Cena, in wrestling, we always say it takes two to tango, and John Cena had to make something work. He had to make something go. And I got to say, John Cena definitely had his share of making this match really go as well. You also have to give him credit because he was working with an injured elbow going into this match. So you have to give him, John Cena, a little bit of credit. I also got to give credit to Triple H because while the match was going on and stuff, he stayed in the background enough where you actually kind of forgot when you're watching the match, but he was even the special guest referee until he had to do his segment. But I actually was pretty happy about that. You were just able to watch and enjoy the match. And this was a really good match. Daniel Bryan and John Cena really tore it up. They started off chain wrestling each other, and as you would imagine, a lot of the match, Daniel Bryan is out wrestling John Cena, which is believable because Daniel Bryan, if you think about it, probably can wrestle circles around John Cena. This isn't discrediting John Cena, but it's just that Daniel Bryan probably is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and that's exactly what would happen. And he hit Daniel Bryan hit a dragon screw onto John Cena, but John Cena would counteract with headlocks. He even used the bad elbow to get Daniel Bryan into a side headlock, and Daniel Bryan went after the leg of John Cena, but then he ended up getting knocked onto the apron, and Cena knocked Bryan off the apron, face first into the announcer's table, and then he tried to throw Daniel Bryan into the steel steps. Daniel Bryan reversed it and threw him shoulder first into the steps, and then Daniel Bryan went to suplex Cena off the steps, but Cena countered into a suplex of his own. And then John Cena really took the control of the matchup for a while. He kind of started doing his brawling style. And John Cena hit a sit-out powerbomb right onto Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan kicked out of it. But then Daniel Bryan started to make his comeback, and I thought it was a really nice comeback. He hit a really cool drop kick, which it kind of scares me to see him do that drop kick because it's kind of like one of the moves that you couldn't make the argument really messed up his neck and stuff. And Daniel Bryan hit some really cool snap German suplexes. I like the spot where Daniel Bryan did his own, John Cena's own finisher, his own STF. They had both teased that they were going to go for the signature submissions, and Daniel Bryan eventually put Cena into the STF. I liked that spot a lot. And John Cena was able to get to the ropes. Cena hit his 5 moves of doom. He missed the 5-knuckle shuffle the first time, but then he ended up hitting it the second time. He went for the AA. Bryan landed on his feet and threw Cena right into the turnbuckle. Daniel Bryan, what else happened in this match? There was just so much. Daniel Bryan went for a suicide dive. Cena countered with a right hand. Daniel Bryan got him into Cena into the yes lock. Cena fought out of it. Cena hit hit a attitude adjustment out of nowhere on Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan kicked out of that. Cena hit the leg drop off the top turnbuckles. Daniel Bryan kicked out of that. Daniel Bryan hit a suplex off the top, but held on to the ropes, preventing himself from going down with Cena, and then hit the diving headbutt. Cena kicked out of that, and then Daniel Bryan went for it again, but Cena countered, and it was very scary because Cena countered like he was going to go for like a Boston Crab, but nearly dropped Bryan on his head. That scared the shit out of me. It even scared me watching it back now. I think it scared me then. And then Cena got Bryan into the STF, and Daniel Bryan ended up getting to the ropes. And then Daniel Bryan hit the yes kicks and the drop kicks, into the corner. And he hit one of them. He went for a second one, but then John Cena countered with a clothesline. And to this day, this is where that famous line was brought in when JBL, when he was on commentary, would say every time, "What a freaking clothesline!" And it was done. It was fine when he said it the first time, but now when he would go on and say it every time, it didn't really feel as special. And then Cena goes for the AA again, but then Daniel Bryan ended up hitting a DDT on him. Bryan even got him into a guillotine choke a couple of times. He ended up hitting his yes kicks, and Cena ducked the last one. And then we get to the best part of the match, where the storyline implication comes in. John Cena slaps Daniel Bryan, asking Daniel Bryan to hit him, to slap him back. Then Daniel Bryan does. He hits like those Japan-style slaps that you see in New Japan. And they both exchange slaps on each other. And then eventually, the finish comes when Daniel Bryan kicks Cena in the head, and then he hits the running knee on him, which was the first time he had ever done that move. And Daniel Bryan beats John Cena and wins the WWE Championship. Now, technically, you could say this was a clean win, and I do kind of agree with you to a degree because he beat Cena with no outside interference or anything like that. And it was a huge win for Daniel Bryan, but I look at it like this: Daniel Bryan really didn't beat John Cena clean because of the elbow injury. Now, obviously, that was kind of out of the WWE's control, But that does kind of suck that you have to think about that Daniel Bryan still technically didn't beat John Cena clean. He beat him because of an elbow injury. So that's kind of like when you think of people who beat John Cena clean, and it really now the list has gone up since then because Cena is willing to do the job now since he's pretty much a part timer. But you would try to think of those names that Daniel Bryan would people would say, but I can't say Daniel Bryan. Had John Cena not gotten hurt, I think Cena probably still would have done the job clean. But yeah, it kind of sucked overall. But then afterwards, John Cena shook his hand and put over Daniel Bryan, which I thought was nice. And then Daniel Bryan celebrates with the WWE Championship. Confetti comes down like a new like it was going to be like a happy ending. But then Randy Orton comes out, and he teases like he's going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, but he chooses not to. He walks up the ramp, and Daniel Bryan calls for him to come down. And then this is when we got the Triple H heel turn. Triple H laid out Daniel Bryan with the pedigree and cashed in the Money in the Bank contract. Randy Orton cashed in the Money in the Bank contract. Triple H made the count, and Randy Orton became the new WWE champion. And I trashed it at the time mainly because I was a Daniel Bryan fan, and I was also trolling. I wanted to kind of do something funny, so it was funny. But overall, it was a great way to end off the show. It gave you kind of like a new storyline, made people want to watch Raw the next day, and I thought I thought that was great. Kind of gave and it kind of gave Daniel Bryan that underdog feeling where he had to go up against the Authority. Triple H and Randy Orton, everybody had wanted them to turn heel for years. Randy Orton was still as a babyface. Triple H was still as a babyface, and it really worked. And also Daniel Bryan was made this night. Now, obviously, they had to recover Daniel Bryan, but overall, Daniel Bryan was made this night. I feel like this match is very significant, and it's definitely worth watching. It sets up a lot of series of events. Let's go over the aftermath of this match. This was pretty much the start of the Authority angle, and Triple H would explain the reason he did this was because Daniel Bryan he didn't think was best for business. He thought Randy Orton was kind of same reasons Vince McMahon was, and it ended up being probably one of the best storylines of the PG era was the Daniel Bryan versus the Authority storyline. It was Daniel Bryan trying to rise up against the Authority, and it was pretty believable. Daniel Bryan would try like hell to win that WWE Championship from Randy Orton, but Triple H would instantly screw him over. The Authority would instantly screw him over. This is when we ended up getting heel Stephanie, which I don't really like heel Stephanie. I don't like Stephanie McMahon as an on-screen role, so that's a negative. But you can obviously, this is when Triple H was at heel work was at an all-time best. If you take out the ruthless aggression and stuff, when Triple H turned heel as the Authority, it was awesome. And ironically enough, it led to that great culmination at WrestleMania 30 when Daniel Bryan had finally won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and everybody celebrated, and it was finally that feel-good moment. This is started here. Well, obviously, we know that wasn't the destination where this was supposed to go because they didn't put Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble match, and then fans resented it even more. They tried to do Randy Orton versus Batista. That didn't work. And eventually, since the fans really wanted Daniel Bryan, the WWE finally caved, gave us Daniel Bryan the main event, and then we won. Unfortunately, though, Daniel Bryan's World Championship victory, WWE World Heavyweight Championship victory, didn't last very long because he ended up getting his neck injured, so we had to vacate the title, and it was all just kind of sad. Then Daniel Bryan came back and won the Intercontinental title, and the same thing happened, and then he ended up having to retire, and he came back earlier this year, cleared to wrestle and ready to go, and probably is in great shape. He could have a really good, and it looks like he's going to have a really good second run because it's been really good so far. Randy Orton, though, I overall think he's been, he's also benefited. He's a 13-time world champion. Him and Daniel Bryan would go back and forth for the title, and then obviously, he just kind of went and did his thing. It also led to Triple H versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I still think Triple H being a heel really worked for him. It gave us another top heel In wrestling, it kind of sucked it had to be Triple H, but I thought it was overall really good. We got that great Triple H Daniel Bryan dynamic. We got Triple H versus Sting out of it, which obviously the outcome was bad, but still and then obviously it freshened up Triple H and gave him a lot of opponents, and it really made his character fresh. So overall, and then obviously JBL though doesn't do commentary anymore. He was the heel commentator at the time, but he only really does it on a part-time basis. Michael Cole was still the play-by-play guy overall for WWE, and Jerry the King Lawler is pretty much retired. You only see him on the panel kickoffs, and occasionally he'll come out and commentate like a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble or something like that. And Charlie Caruso is still in the same spot. So yeah, overall, everybody in this match benefits. John Cena too would come back. He would have his feud with Randy Orton, where they would unify the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships at TLC, which ends with tables, ladders, and chairs in 2013. They would blow off their feud at the Royal Rumble, but then obviously have like another match at Hell in a Cell. And John Cena, and this was all in 2014. Cena's gone on to win, so-called tie the record for 16 world championships. And yeah, also I didn't even mention too, the thing that really made the story work was that Daniel Bryan and John Cena were really close personally, because they were both dating the Bella twins, and so they were pretty much brothers-in-laws. Obviously there's that kayfabe thing with John Cena and Nikki Bella have broken up, but we know that's not true. But still, overall, this match really works. If I had to rate this match out of 5 stars, I'm giving it 4.25. It's actually no 4 stars. It's not. It's a 4-star match. It's a great match. Great match. Not quite a 5-star match, but just a 4-star match. I think it's a great match. It's really worth checking out. Definitely check it out. Really, nothing left to say. I'm just kind of rambling, but thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. Make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers and No One the Talkinator YouTube channels. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.